What should I look for in a food broker? And are food brokers even worth it? Well, in this video, I'm gonna go over some of the pros and cons of what food brokers can do and what they can't do. And are they really right fit for your food business? Well, I'm gonna go over a few fantastic tips. We're gonna get to that right now. All right, so welcome back to Marketing Food Online. It is Damian Roberti, founder and CEO of Marketing Food Online. Welcome back to my channel, and welcome to my channel. If this is your first video, make sure you do hit that subscribe button and the bell notification because we have videos every single week. We have tons of great content, including podcasts and even a website with all kinds of free resources to help you, the food entrepreneur, get up and running. So in this video, I've actually answered a question that we got emailed about a week ago. We had one of our subscribers email us at marketingfoodonline@yahoo.com. By the way, a little plug there for our Yahoo email. If you have any questions, please send them to us. But also, he had a question about specifically food brokers, and he was thinking about going that direction, but he wasn't really sure with what they actually do, what are their responsibilities, and he heard some kind of crazy stories about how much they charge, and wanted to find out if they were really worth it. So we wanted to dive into those two particular questions, and I've got some pros and cons, and we're gonna go through those. So number one, brokers' jobs are to increase sales, okay? So basically, they're gonna do, one of the pros and benefits is that that's gonna free up time for you as a food maker, food manufacturer, or your small food business, while you're actually producing your product, handling other business responsibilities, such as getting ingredients, packaging, maybe production, or working with co-packers. But the food broker is gonna free up a ton of your time because their job is to sell your product. Basically, you're going to hire them to get your product in as many retail stores as possible. Maybe you're too busy, you're caught up with your online e-commerce business, and you're looking to create another avenue of income, and that's gonna be into retail stores. So you're thinking, I don't have enough time to be calling buyers and working out agreements. Well, a food broker would do that on your behalf. And that's one of the big pros right off the bat, is having that extra time to operate and run all of the other functions of your day-to-day business. Because once you get that time freed up based on the food broker and their responsibilities, that's gonna allow you the opportunity to focus on those other things. So number two, so sales teams are expensive. Yes, believe it or not, a food broker in most cases is actually cheaper. Now in a few minutes, I'll get into what they actually charge you. You might be a little surprised, but all in all, they're cheaper than actually hiring a sales firm who have sales people who go all over the country or travel, that may end up having hotel bills, travel bills. It begins to be very expensive, and it adds up. If your sales team is more on the one-on-one handshaking and being in person type of sales team, that travel time is going to be very expensive in some cases if they're not doing it remotely or if they're not working in other ways. So keep in mind that a sales team of people trying to get your products into retail stores nationwide may be something that would be much more of an expensive endeavor in the long run. Now, number three, this is probably one of the most beneficial things to hiring a food broker is they have established relationships with buyers, retail stores, and big companies in general. But they already have the ins and the outs, and they know they have the connections for buyers who, in particular categories, if it's frozen food category, if it happens to be snack, and if it's beverage category, if it happens to be a produce category, whatever category but the buyer is within the store that you're trying to get into, they already have those established relationships. So if you find a broker who has multiple relationships with a lot of different retail stores or even mom and pop small grocery store chains, some that may not be nationwide, it may not be necessarily Walmart or Kroger or even Publix or something to that effect, smaller chains that have maybe about 50 stores or 20 stores or even 30. Those are stores too that you might want to get your stuff into. And if you get your product in there, food brokers have those relationships already established. So basically picking up the phone and saying, hey, Damian's got this brand new product. He's got a line of seasoned nuts, different types of nuts and snacks and things. He wants to get into the store. We've got some great samples. We think it'll go over well. It makes that route a lot quicker and faster time frame for you to get into the stores, but it's also something that you don't have to be doing because, like I said, if you're working on maybe your e-commerce business, maybe adding new food products to your lineup and getting with co-packers and getting ingredients, there's a lot to running a business. Trust me, I've been doing it for 12 years. There's a lot on a daily basis that keeps piling up and piling up. So having a food broker utilize those established relationships is a big plus and big benefit for you. Next up, number four, food brokers don't just sell products. Now, what exactly does that mean? So food brokers don't just try to shake a hand and get some seasoned nuts on the store shelf at a retail store. They do a lot more than that. They'll also work with the stores to set up samples or demos. They're also going to work with the store to set up specials, maybe buy one, get one free sales, holiday or seasonalities. There's also seasonal aspects to the business as well. If you've got specials like during the fourth quarter for the holidays, they're going to make sure maybe you have an end cap display or some type of standing independent cardboard display on an aisle with your product. They're the ones who negotiate all of those things with buyers in order for you to have an additional advantage or some extra square footage or some footage on the sales floor. You got to keep in mind, retail stores have only so much shelf space, and they have only so much shelf space and floor space. So on top of that, it's very limiting as to how many products they can bring in. But a food broker will help you get in as much as you can, or potentially get a special display or something set up for your product on the sales floor. And that is the gold. That's gold. You have to understand, I worked in retail grocery for about 22 years. I was with Publix for quite some time, and then with Target. And then what I learned over the time there is that every single inch of the store is mapped out for a reason, because it is prime real estate, as it's called, and it's worth a lot of money. So getting an additional end cap, side cap, a display, or anything that you can get on the floor in addition to your product is a big plus. Now, let's talk about some of the downsides, the cons of working with a food broker. So number one, they're going to sell items that are really kind of similar. They have a lot of clients, keep in mind. And if they're a big firm, they may have hundreds, if not even thousands of companies they represent. Now, they're going to be selling a lot of products that may be very similar to yours. So the uniqueness, or making a buyer bring on board another product, like if it's a meat jerky and the store has already 20 varieties, it's going to be really challenging for them to try to persuade or even bring in a new product to a retail store, because they represent so many others. That's something that's really kind of a downside to food brokers. The second one up is the expense. So now what I'm about to tell you is not across the board on everyone, but it is the general rule of thumb, is that normally the fees are between 5 to 10% of the fees of the amount of product that they sell on your behalf. Plus, many of them actually work on monthly either retainers or monthly payment plans where you're actually utilizing their services every month, no matter what you actually sell out that month. So for instance, in January, you hire a food broker, but by April or May, they don't get anything in a store. You're paying for them January, February, March, and you can see where this is going. So some of those fees can add up for a small food operation. It can be very expensive, the amount of money you're putting out before you even begin to get money back. So unfortunately, when you utilize the services, it's something that you need to look at in the long run. Don't look at it as a short-term investment that you're going to retain or have similar to like a lawyer's fees. Put them on retainer because you want them to work for you and get that product out, and that's how they work. They have to be paid up front in order for them to at least get the wheels going and start promoting your products. Now, the third one is something that's ultra important to your brand. One thing that you got to keep in mind, some food brokers may not necessarily share the same viewpoint or share the same passion for your brand. So if you have a certain food product or a certain beverage or a snack, and it happens to have some meaning behind it, maybe there's some type of community that you're supporting or some benefit to it, or you're donating a portion of the proceeds, or there's some goodwill behind it, there's something unique to it, that may be something that may not come across through a food broker on your behalf. So that is something that you need to think about too. So if you're passionate about like free trade coffee, or if you've got some certain organic ingredients that you're bringing in from South America and you're supporting some local communities there, and you really want to make sure that people buying the product understand that they're helping the benefiting those communities, and that's something they don't really express that much, you may not get your brand or your image shared in the way that you really want it to be. So something to think about when overall brand ideas and the image of your business, you got to think about that too. So those are some pros, those are a couple of cons, but all in all, food brokers can really alleviate a lot from your shoulders and can be a huge asset to your business. And depending upon the ones that you find and how much they charge, a couple of other really quick tips before I let you go. You might want to also check into, when you find a broker online, you can simply Google food brokers. You want to find out if you have any people that they can refer to you. So referrals of some of their clients they work with or have worked with in the past. Those are going to give you a great understanding, if you can speak directly to those companies or those people in particular. How does this company work? Do they share the same vision that you have? Are they really passionate about selling a lot of stuff, or are they just out to make money from you? Try to get some referrals and get some points of view outside of just the food broker itself. because of course the food broker is going to tell you all kinds of fantastic things about what they do, but make sure you get some of that word of mouth, if you will, from some of the people that actually dealt with them, okay? So that is my video. I hope that helps you out understand what food brokers do, at least in a brief synopsis of what they can do for you. They really do, the benefits kind of outweigh the cons, but if you have the money to get up front and you can get somebody to start helping you out, the sales aspect of it and their connections can be worth a lot more money in the long run, and they can alleviate a lot of the work for you. So that is how you find a good food broker. And are food brokers worth it? My opinion, yes, definitely. I'll see you guys on our next video. If you have questions about this, or if you've even worked with a food broker, share that with some of our other subscribers with the comment down below. What was your take on it if you actually worked with one? How much did they charge you? Was it a good or positive experience? Was it negative? Let us know. I may have many other subscribers who could definitely benefit from it. I'll see you guys in the next video.